What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode, and today here with the one and only Tony Blauer. If you are new to this whole protection defense space, you may not have heard of him. However, if you are even remotely touching the surface of this arena, you have 1,000% heard of him, known literally around the world for some of your training and your tactics. Thanks for being here, Tony.
Thank you, man.
And I know it's been a crazy week here at SHOT Show 2024.
Yep.
And your schedule is insane, so I appreciate you taking the time here. But there's also another element. 221B Tactical is now, with our brand new website, we are now launching the training part of our site where we're giving our customers who are coming to us for tactical gear and safety and protection gear, now giving them access to, and it's going to be your training system. So I'm pumped about that. We have customers from around the world, law enforcement, and now more than ever civilian, that are looking for safety and protection for their families and their loved ones themselves. So quick overview of your background and how you came to develop your program.
Wow. So I've been teaching now for 43 years, actually longer than that. I was very quick origin story. Grew up all-around athlete, always afraid of performance. Like fear always plagued me, and I'll come back to that. But it's important for the story and message of my brand and what we really do. So I could be wrestling, gymnastics, tennis. I mean, tennis where I'm in no danger, but I'm afraid I'm going to miss a shot. I'm afraid I'm going to let down the team. I'm afraid, same thing. I was a very, very high-level competitive skier. Didn't want to let down the team. My parents were famous in the ski patrol. Didn't want to. When people say, "Oh, you're such a good skier," I was like, are they talking about me? Because I was always so nervous. Nobody ever explained to me as an athlete about the psychology of fear, which became a huge part of our company now, our No Fear program. No Fear is spelled K-N-O-W.
Okay.
Right? So, change your relationship with fear, and you can change your mind and therefore change your life. What's that got to do with self-defense and the spear system and high gear and all that stuff? Well, 12 years old, leaving a pickup game on the weekend, elementary school, walking, I'm alone, and I'm kind of walking back, excited. Game went well. I was scared, but the game went well.
Yeah.
And these two kids, so I'm like 12 years old, these two kids from the local high school, we were at a high school about 500 yards up the street. They go, "Hey, kid." And I'm like, oh, older kids are talking to me. They're like 15, 16.
Yeah.
Now, as we would call it in this industry, disparity of force, right? You got 15, 16-year-old kids and a 12-year-old. Well, I run right into the ambush because I think they want to talk to me. And I run up to them and I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" And they go, "Hey, when are you coming to high school?" And I go, "Well, next year I'll be in the high school." Well, they go, "Well, welcome to high school." And they reach me, the guy pulls me in, wraps me up, pins me like this, and then his buddy, they're laughing, goes into, I don't know if you remember the Sugar Ray Leonard Bolo punch against what's his face, Hands of Stone's Roberto Duran. And all of a sudden everything goes into tachy-psyche, fancy for slow motion. And this Bolo punch is coming around. I'm struggling. This guy's got me, pinned like this. I'm going, what the hell? But I'm in really good shape. I'm playing every sport, so I'm as tight as you can get. From body impact training when you do any martial arts. Yeah. If you're hitting some stuff, you don't exhale and push your gut out. You okay, hit me again. Oh. Yeah. So I was in this position, but I didn't know it. And as I anticipated impact, I thought my ribs were going to break and a bone was going to puncture my leg. My bone was going to puncture. I'm going to die. So I'm just 12-year-old scared kid, and I scream. No offense, hope this doesn't cancel me. I scream like my sister would scream in anticipation of it. Now, this is the coolest thing, man. As I scream, my tactile sense feels the guy's the restraint on me change. Like the sudden, shit, we didn't want to kill him or hurt him. I felt him loosen up as I screamed, and my intuition said, "Scream again." So I went, and I'm doing this, and the guy lets go of me. I don't feel anything. I'm just acting now. I fall to the ground. I'm on all fours, grabbing my ribs, and I'm looking peripheral vision, and I could see them looking in panic, and everything's moving in slow motion. 2 seconds have gone by.
Yeah, right.
Right?
You're right.
And they take off, and as they run, as they're running around the corner to the trees there, I see them gone. And I stand up and I fix my shirt, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? And I get home and my dad says, how's the game? I go, cool. And I go, but two guys just beat the shit out of me. And I don't have a mark on me, right? Yeah. My shirt's not even torn. Two guys just beat the shit out of me. I'm not going to high school. And he goes, like what was it, a pillow fight? Like, what kind of, like, what do you mean they beat you? So that immediately put me on. He said, you got to learn how to defend yourself. You got to learn martial arts. So that's really like kind of a fun, it's anticlimactic but interesting story of my origin, starting in martial arts. Why anticlimactic is because there was no blood and sex and bombs. It was like, but interesting. It was so cerebral how in the flow state I got with this tactile feeling and the intuition to feign fear or feign pain, and how that influenced the attacker and created, what we would call it from a neuroscience perspective is the refractory delay between their stimulus response. I was controlling that by my behavior. So this is all important because like the personal safety, self-defense, defensive tactics, combative systems that my company has created over the last 40 years, we're literally the only company that blends neurobiology, neurophysiology, kinesiology, psychology in the package. So when you come in there, I don't care about your gender, I don't care about your background. Yeah. You're a mom, you want to train your kids, you're a senior citizen, you're a tier 1 operator. We can make you safer by understanding you as a human weapon. Okay. What goes on, the mind controls the body when a stimulus is introduced too quickly. So if I said to you, hey, if I went to smash you in the face with this bottle, or we got in an argument, I went to hit you with this, what would you do? Well, your theoretical brain, based on your martial training, would be, well, I'd grab your wrist, or I'd hit you first, or I'd do a block, or, I'd duck it, and then I would pull guard, or I'd kick you in the face. When anybody's trained in any martial art, what you're creating is you're creating blueprints in your brain for what could be possible. Okay. And so I can ask any question, any self-defense question of you. It's not happening, so what do you need to do? You need to visualize like a movie in your mind. Well, I would do this. And a jiu-jitsu guy will always give a jiu-jitsu answer. Yeah. A taekwondo guy will always give a taekwondo answer. If we got a cop who only knows how to shoot or spray somebody, and I put them in a scary situation, they're going to default to reaching for their kit. They don't have problem solving up here. So the danger here, and I know I'm off on a crazy tangent and some rabbit holes, but I'll come back.
No, keep going.
Yeah. The danger here is that for us to solve real problems in real time, we need to manage the psychological fear in the moment, not the physiological fear, which is butterflies in the stomach and all the things. Oh, you went from parasympathetic to sympathetic. Like none of that matters if you stop thinking. Because the mind navigates the body. There's no such thing as muscle memory in the way most trainers use the term. Yeah. There's neural patterns, there's motor engrams, there's a whole bunch of shit that people don't need to know about. And I always tell people, be careful what you practice, you might get really good at the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. And they think I'm criticizing their art. I'm a martial artist my whole life. All my world travels, the friends around the world, whatever like entrepreneurial success I have is because of martial arts. I love martial arts. But I recognize that true violence and sudden violence asks us as humans to think and respond differently. There's no place to try and insert your arts. And I know people, it's very polarizing. People hate me for that, or they get it. So when a stimulus is introduced too quickly, and I use this bottle as an example, if I said, well, what would you do if I went to hit you with this bottle? And you just give me an answer.
I try to block.
Okay, you try to block. Yeah. So most, like if someone's like done Shotokan or Kyokushinkai, they're going, I'm going to do a rising block. Yeah. A boxer will go and bob and weave it, right? Yeah. But if I went, well, something, and I went and I whipped it at you, what you would do is you would flinch. Yeah. Your motion would, you would turn, your eyes would close. I just did a newsletter on Monday where for the first time in 40 years I found the millisecond measurements of the flinch activation of the eyes, the head, the shoulders, the arms, and the legs from some like scientific study. And I was like, oh my God, because I've been telling people for 30 years, your eyes close, your head starts to turn, your shoulders come up, your hands then come up, and it's at a speed you can't see.
Yeah.
So you all of a sudden, you walk into a spider web and you're like this, but your brain, and this is one of my favorite questions, and you guys can answer this too, but I'll ask you ever flinch in your life?
Yeah.
Of course. Did you ever say to yourself, oh my God, this is happening really fast, you should flinch now? Or did the flinch just happen in non-conscious?
Just like it was a natural action.
Yeah. So flinching is the only protective response, listen to this, where we protect the head and push away danger. It's the only protective response that doesn't go through executive function. Meaning, if we're sparring and you see me pull up my gi pants, you go, okay, he's going to kick me with his right leg. Your brain is priming for that. Yeah. Maybe you shift your stance a little bit, or you see my feet turn, you go, okay, he's going to do a back kick. Oh, he's lowering his elevation. Okay, here he's shooting. And good athletes read that. They don't say it out loud. It's just happening so quickly. Yeah. But there's a pre-contact cue.
Okay.
Right? Just like in law enforcement. Like the guy just target glanced my gun, get ready. Mm-hmm. But the startle response is the only protective countermeasure that the body does at a non-conscious level. If this were super hot, we've all done this. You grab something hot, someone goes, hey, coffee's on the table for you. Yeah. And you go, oh, shit, dude, right? And you're like, you were actually safe right here. But your nervous system, with the cross-extensor reflex, recoils and does all. So we figured out in the 80s, we've been doing this like since the 80s, how to weaponize the startle flinch, how to convert it into something protective or tactical, and it's all based on neurobiology and kinesiology and the psychology of fear. So it's like truly the science of self-defense, and I'm all over the place, but it's fun. I got asked at a meeting this week, someone was listening and they go, holy shit, this is amazing, but how long does it really take to learn? Yeah. And so I share this story. I teach a lot in the United Kingdom, and we're all over the world, as you mentioned earlier, but we're the only system recognized by brand in the ACPO manual, their Association of Chiefs of Police manual. So every cop is exposed to some fundamental SPEAR drills. And SPEAR is spontaneous protection, enabling accelerator response. Spontaneous protection meaning the startle response. Enabling accelerator response is the conversion drills, like kind of the classical conditioning we do, taking you in the drilling through primal, protective, tactical. Basically, we're turning you into a human airbag. Okay. As a metaphor. So I go to jump you, and you're thinking wax on, wax off. Should I get this angle, but really your body's going, holy shit. Yeah. And we have, aside from now, we have the math that I just found. Yeah. And the like a super fast human response time just for a regular stimulus test is 200 milliseconds, right? So, like someone goes, ready on the range, beep, hold on, I wasn't ready, beep. But there's always, in all of those measurements, there's what we call ACP, awareness, consent, preparation. Okay. You're going to do some scenario training, or I say, hey, we're going to do a readiness evaluation on you guys. We're going to sneak up and see, but you sign waivers, you make sure there's no loaded ammo. You do think, well, the second you do that, it's no longer a surprise attack. Yeah. Like your brain knows, even though it can be dangerous and rough. I wrote in 1993 an article. I was at the first UFC, and I was writing for 3 magazines. And I wrote, although the guys are really fighting, it's not the same as a real fight. You could die, you could get hurt, it's very dangerous. These guys are tough as nails. It's probably the most savage sport in the world, and I have ultimate respect for the guys. But I wrote I was talking to Victor Marx the other day, and he said, you're a disruptor in the industry. People, you're so polarizing. Because I wrote in 1993, although they're really fighting, it's not the same as a real fight. There's consent, there's preparation, there's awareness. You went to a weigh-in, you had tape of the guy you were going to fight, you had a plan. Right. And what I wrote in the article was, the only people that I know really fight are cops, military, and people who just get randomly attacked in the street. Because there's no John McCarthy, there's no Mills Lane, if anyone remembers Mills Lane from boxing. Like, there's nobody going, use your mouth guard, and you want an 8 count. Yeah. And so the fear and the requirement to manage your fear in a truly violent encounter, to me, is the first order of business. And most people spend in my opinion, and again, studying violence, fear, and aggression for over 40 years, we spend too much time on the technique, and so one of our maxims is don't confuse technical with tactical.
Okay.
In a real violent encounter, we need to get tactical as quickly as we can. But sorry, man, I'm like, fuck.
So
I get.
let me go back to the weaponizing the flinch.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people watching, I know the baseline of that.
Yep.
But a lot of people watching and listening may not understand. They may have no tactical background, no training, right? So explain that a little bit because most people think a flinch response is almost like a defensive, shying away thing, and you say weaponize it.
Yeah.
So expand on that a little bit.
That's a great question. So think about this. If and you probably remember this from your past, but you ask any firefighter or EMS, someone goes through a motorcycle accident or someone goes through a windshield in the car not wearing their seatbelt, where's there always trauma? And they will always say hands and forearms. So imagine you're driving, you lose control of your car, and you hit a tree or a wall, and you go through the windshield. How fast does that happen when you hit and move, right? You can't see it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, boom, and you're through the window, right? Like almost at the same time. We've all seen the crash test dummy videos when that dummy comes jerking forward. How fast is your startle response that before your head can hit the window, your hands know to come up? It's insane, right?
Yeah.
And it's non-conscious. That's the most important factor. So, knife fights. So a victim, someone's murdered, knife fight. There's always trauma in the forearms and hands. Always. Unless they were tied up before they were murdered. But if their hands were free and they started, and like whether they're fighting back or not, their body is overriding. So if I came at you and started smashing you, even though you know how to overhook and hook my leg and do that, the first thing you'll do if it's a surprise, like a Jack in the Box moment, is fuck, right? And then you'll. So what we did is we built almost like the software is your nervous system. The neurobiology and neuropsychology of survival is to protect the command center, protect the head. That's why if you see somebody on the ground getting the shit kicked out of them and they're conscious, they're in that kind of fetal position, trying to get small. What they should be doing is biting that guy's Achilles, right? Right? But he's kicking the shit out of him. And what's part of the community is going is the guy on the ground is going, hey, those aren't good front kicks. You're not turning your hip, right? They're criticizing the technique. And I'm going, look at how the psychology of fear is preventing this person from getting tactical, of running, of grabbing, of rolling. And so we can see all the moves. Why didn't you just grab his leg and knee bar him and the guy would fall down and then he could mount him? And then, yes, but you can't do that if you're in the fear loop going, oh my God, like holy shit. So when I discovered this in the mid 80s, I was doing a drill called the sucker punch drill where we would isolate stuff and we're videotaping and we noticed that when there was a true surprise, that faster than wax on, wax off, and this is pre-Karate Kid, so there was no wax on. But just this idea that I was doing Wing Chun, I was boxing, Taekwondo, I had wrestled, we're doing these drills, and if I really thought I was going to get hit, my body would do what you demoed before you turn away. And this was back in the VHS days, right? So I'm looking at the videos after, and I'm going like, every time I tried to block or parry or do something complex motor skill, I was 50-50 because sometimes you read it. You see a pec flex as the guy's turning, and if you're a good athlete, you read. That's how people spar, and that's how like amateur and pro combat sport athletes read stuff. They can't articulate it necessarily, but I knew he was going to do this, so I did that. You're just feeling energetically this is about to happen, and that's all valid. But there's ACP, awareness, consent, preparation. I didn't open my eyes and found myself in an octagon. I was like, what the hell? Like, how did I get here? And there's like Chuck Liddell running towards me and going, right? So what's interesting is Anthony Smith. I don't know if you know the name. He was. I don't know if he retired. I think he's still fighting, but he was at the time this happened. He was one of the UFC's top light heavyweights. He had a home invasion. Oh, no kidding. Yeah, I interviewed him on my podcast, and he said it was the toughest fight he ever had. Here's like a 160 or 70 pound guy who wasn't a professional MMA fighter. The guy didn't have any weapons, but Anthony's trying to control him. He said, this was tougher than any UFC fight I had. Like, imagine that. The guy's got like 50 fights.
No kidding.
Because, and what he was describing, and it was fun because I got to listen to him, and then I said, here's what was happening, man. Psychophysical overload. You're at home. I think his mother-in-law was there. His kids were there. His wife was there. He doesn't know if the guy's got a weapon. So there was no ACP, no awareness consent preparation. You came out of the bedroom like scratching your groin with your underwear on, going, what's that noise? And there's like suddenly some, crackhead in your house, and you're like, but it was crazy. Like, because if I said pro fighter outweighing an untrained fighter by 20 pounds, who are you betting on? And you'd go, well, that's not even going to, and it wasn't that like, he wasn't able to submit him or knock him out. It was like just because it was an overwhelming amount of fear that was interfering with what he understood and what he knew to do.
Yeah.
In the same way, like cops they all qualify on the range.
Yeah.
But do you know what the average hit percentage is nationwide for police officers in gunfights?
That's probably abysmal.
Yeah. I mean, when I last heard about it, it was below 20%.
I believe it.
Yeah. But cops get in a gunfight and they get shot in the armpit in the panel by a bad guy running away with a gangbanger, and that piece of shit, it wasn't training at
the range
or whatever.
Yeah.
He's just using his instincts and intuition to
Point and shoot.
So there's a lot going on here. I never answered your question. What is spirit? What do we weaponize it? So all of this, I'm obsessed with this stuff. Like, I still wake up in the middle of the night with ideas for drills and things like that. I'm truly a mad scientist. But my goal is always, how do I make good humans safer, faster?
Okay.
You and I might be martial fanatics, so, I've been training now since I'm 7. That's when I started wrestling. Mm-hmm. So I'm 63 now. I've been training, I don't know, my math isn't good. If it's 57 or like a lot.
7 from, 50,
a long time. So I'm a martial artist, but most people aren't going to train for 50 years.
Yeah.
You talk to most people, I got my black belt, I trained for 10 years. Mm-hmm. Like, it ended. What do you mean it ended? Like, how did you stop?
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing. Be careful what you practice. You might get really good at the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. We need to teach, just in terms of, and this goes from Tier 1 military, full-time SWAT, part-time SWAT, law enforcement, all the subdivisions, law enforcement, gang, undercover, narcotics, corrections, whatever it is. The most important commodity, or not commodity, asset is our situational awareness. We have a maxim like no awareness, no chance. Mm-hmm. If you don't know that something's about to happen, you can't get ready for it. Yet ambushes still continue to happen. There's some really good books out there on, left to bang and situational awareness. Mm-hmm. But still, and I always tell people, if situational awareness was just a skill you could learn, then no one would ever get kidnapped. Nobody would ever get sucker punched. Nobody would ever lose their gun because they went through the situational awareness class.
Yeah.
But the reality is, situational awareness it requires you to be conscious and know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
So if I go, if I say, hold on a second, I'm going to use that as a prop.
Yeah.
If I go, like right now, if you sucker punch me, I'm doing this because I looked at my phone. So if I'm your bodyguard and I go, sir, you okay? I got to go to the bathroom. And you go, yeah, sure, go. And I do that. Like right now, while we were talking, we were all totally compromised there if something happened to happen.
Yeah.
So situational awareness in terms of human factors isn't constant. Add the fact that I love jiu-jitsu or I love taekwondo or I love guns or I love that. Excuse me. I predispose myself to find a solution using the things I love most at an unconscious level. So what's your favorite food? Sushi, steak, Italian?
Steak.
Steak. So if you're really hungry and I go, hey man, you want to have dinner tonight? You go, yeah, well, what are you in the mood for? You'll always say steak. You're not going to go, well, let's try something new.
Yeah.
You know, you'll just always default to steak. So in the same way that you default to steak, martial artists will default to their favorite move in their system, which might, like if I say to somebody, you're at an ATM, and you turn around and a guy goes, hey, give me your money. And he's just going to strong arm robbery. He doesn't have a gun.
Yeah.
And you're a martial artist, and you go, no. Like if you're a kickboxer, you're thinking about, I'm going to throw a jab and then I'm going to freaking round kick this guy.
Yeah.
If you're a grappler, you're going, no. You're going, okay, I'm going to double leg the guy, take him down.
Yeah.
I can smack him, choke him out. I need people to understand that you created through training the neural pattern to find a way to make your best move work. In the same way, you're hungry, and if you're not in a rush, and it's like, I'm going to get an MRE and just do a power bar, it's like, hey, let's go for a steak. You default to that. And that's a huge thing, because in me discovering and studying the spear, I realized that why I was flinching, this is so big, man, why I was flinching was because I was unconsciously trying to control our scenario so that I could do the moves that I was good at, because unconsciously I wanted to win. I wanted to do well, right? So you tracking that?
So you're flinching to prepare to do what?
No, I'm flinching because the move I wanted to do made me less safe, and my body's survival system said, so if I said to you, I'm going to jump up out of the chair and throw a haymaker, and I want you, you're a martial artist?
Jiu-jitsu, purple belt.
Jiu-jitsu. And I want you to pull guard when I do that. You're gonna lean back and pull guard when you do that. You're visualizing that? And then all of a sudden I go, and I come at you, and if I jumped across the chair there, you would first go, fuck, right? You would go, I didn't think you were serious, right? Because what happened is you were pre-loading the move to solve the problem. And then when the problem came at you at a weird angle, or too fast, or too bizarre, your body's survival system, and this is the magic of our startle response, your body's survival system goes, you fuck this up, we'll take over from here. I can't mention the name and I can't mention where, because it was a tier 1 NDA, no phones, like blah, blah, blah. But it was really cool. So these are all like direct action. They brought me in for one of our scenario training courses. Everyone's in our high gear suit, and I did 2 proof of principle things. I had everyone. I said, your jiu-jitsu, your MMA, your Thai, everyone had. I said, I want you to think about your favorite move in a confrontation. So I had like 12 guys and then 12 role players in front of them. The role players knew when the fight was going to start. I was standing behind the defenders, and I was going to drop my hand. So everyone knew the rules of engagement. So there's ACP, awareness, consent, preparation. But I said, you're a jiu-jitsu guy. This guy's going to start a fight with you. I need you to control him, make him tap. Oh, you're a Thai guy. I need you to get in a clinch and knee him. I'm not telling people what to do. Visualize your favorite move. These are all operators. So picture this line of 12 guys. What we did that was very different, and this was stuff I figured out in the 80s in our approach to scenario systems, I didn't start with the move. I started with a scenario. So they didn't so if I said to you, I'm going to throw a haymaker, you get ready to block it. And I go, get ready? Okay, here we go. Go, hey man, what the fuck are you looking at? And you go, what do you mean? Dude, I was staring across me from across the bar. Well, you got a problem with me? Did I fucking harass? And you're going, what the fuck? And now your brain's going, and you're trying to stay. And then all of a sudden the punch comes. Haymaker comes in, and it's distracting you behaviorally. That's affecting the neuromuscular control of, which would be very different if we were sparring, because now there's no talking really. Maybe a little bit of trash talking, kick your ass. Fuck you. But it's so different. So we've always done that. And actually talking and thinking, making somebody think, changes their reaction time significantly. So if I say to you, get ready to block me, and I go to move and you go to parry, and then I say, what's your good arm? Is your lefty or righty? What is your good arm? And I threw the punch at the same time. You're like 10x slower because your brain went right. Oh fuck, you moved. You didn't tell me you're gonna move. It's wild. But this is what predators do to us. This is what they get in our head. They distract us. Narratives, political bullshit going on. You know. So now, like I talk about, like the fear of making shit happen is like getting a stovepipe in a gun. You could have the weapon. You're in a good stance. You're ready to go. Rules of engagement are there. You don't notice you have a stovepipe, and you're going like. Something you need to clear the stovepipe to get back in the fight. You need to clear your fear to get back in the fight.
Yeah.
And what fear does is fear makes us doubt. Doubt creates hesitation. Hesitation creates procrastination. Violence loves speed. The only way you can compete with the speed of sudden violence is to improve your mind speed, not how fast you kick, not how fast you punch, because if I don't clear my mind, I don't think to punch or kick.
Yeah.
It's super interesting. So I didn't answer the question. How do you weapon it? And I can.
Yeah.
I get crazy on this shit.
I think that's something that people, if that's your fastest natural response,
why not use it?
Why not use it?
And that's the thesis statement in any of our Spear System courses. And we've got our military law enforcement courses. We now have a program called Spear Care, which is taken off. It's for care and services, hospitals, EMS, total, because those folks they're often the first responders to sudden violence.
Yes, exactly.
But they also come into their community where you go, I want to be a cop. Why? Well, I want to stop crime. I want to arrest bad guys.
Yeah.
Where nobody becomes an ambulance driver or care and services or a nurse going, yeah, I want to armbar a bad guy. Like the Hippocratic angle of do no harm. They want to help people.
Yeah.
So the idea that somebody's trying to harm them goes through way more fear spikes and dysregulation where you're going, what the hell? So because our program, we don't teach anybody any physical tactics without teaching them our no fear program.
Okay.
We say you need to clear the fear to get back into managing the violence.
It's funny you say that from the standpoint, I remember talking to some friends that they were firefighters, and they were, I don't know if you heard about this, during the craziness of
the Summer of Love, and the mostly peaceful protests.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Fiery but peaceful. Firefighters getting shot at. And they were saying, there were reports that the bullets were hitting and the firefighters weren't responding because they cognitively did not process that anyone would be shooting at them.
Right.
They were arriving to a scene to put out a fire because they lit the police department on fire, they lit some church on fire, and it didn't process with them that anyone would ever shoot at them. Yeah. So they weren't even responding to it. Yeah. To me, that sounds insane to think, if I was somewhere, I have my police background. The second I heard a gunshot go off and I heard it hit the fire truck I'm standing in front of, oh shit, what the hell is going on? To think that they didn't even process that and a bullet was hitting the fire truck. And they were like, because in their mind, it's never going to happen to them.
Yeah, and there's that element of cognitive dissonance, and they're totally focused. And also, in a high-stress situation like that, you're so preoccupied with, is it clear to go? Should we go?
Yes.
Who's doing this? There's so much noise. And you know this from your police days and also stories of guys getting shot or stabbed in a fight, not realizing it. And then after the fight's over, someone goes, dude, you're bleeding. Holy shit, you've been hit, right? Yeah. And so the adrenaline of the moment, sometimes you don't even, and if you've got auditory exclusion because you're so focused on like the radio and people are yelling and a round goes by, if you don't have like a mental blueprint, you've never been to the range, you don't shoot, you don't know what that sounds like. Chesty Puller, very, very famous, Marine Corps legend, he was one of the first guys who said, everyone go down range, we're going to be firing over your head. And people were like, whoa. like his command staff go, what are you doing? You can't do that. Because he says, listen, he'd been in battles before. He said, a round leaving your gun and going down range sounds very different than a round coming at you, whipping by your head. And we want to stress inoculate these guys because they will freak out if things are whipping by. So in that moment, your like the first time I went skydiving and the door opened, like that was, I've been in windy places before, but the sound of the wind up there was like, for a moment you go, what the fuck? Like so your brain has to process stuff.
Yeah, and because naturally, when you're up in an airplane, we've just been conditioned that there is no open door or open window in an airplane.
You would never have that experience
before. You would just never experience it. So the first time it happens, I know, I was like, oh, this is
different.
This is different. Like you said, this is not, I'm driving down the highway and I put my window down and now the breeze is in my...
No. You expect that. It's totally...
Yeah, you were ready for that. So...
Interesting.
When you look at what's going on today, all kinds of craziness. You have people committing crimes. They're not being prosecuted for the crime.
Yeah.
People are walking in the stores and walking out of shopping carts
They're
full.
being encouraged.
Like,
it's insane.
It's the most insane thing, and I never thought we'd see it in this world today. I think it's important for people today, and a lot of our business now is coming from the civilian side.
Right.
You know, we have the government contracts, we do the, but we've now created home defense kits for people because people have been asking why. They come up to us and men, women, doesn't matter. They say, listen, I've never been in police, law enforcement. I've never been in the military. I'm not some tactical ninja. I don't do jujitsu. I don't do anything. I'm just a guy. Or if it's a woman, I'm just a mom, and I'm worried about my family. I don't know what's going on in this world today, in this country today, but I want to have something in my home, and it has to be almost like, a go bag for dummies. Right? So that's what we've kind of created, and that's going to be their thing to go to. And I tell people, all right, well, you need some basic training. Like there's going to be a first aid kit in there. There's going to be a tourniquet in there. There's going to be food provisions. There's going to be weapons like a flashlight or pepper gun, whatever it might be in there. But you have to do a little bit of training to at least know when, if the what hits the fan, okay, we got this bag, we're ready to go. But I feel like there's an element of people that continue to have this, that happens over there, it happens over there. It's not going to happen to me.
Yeah.
Right? So how do you get people to shift that mindset away from that, I don't know if I really need to do this because I don't think it's ever going to happen to me.
Right.
So what's your advice? It's a fear, and I think people sometimes get into that mindset of it's not going to happen to me because they're actually truly afraid of it happening to them. So everyone refers to you as the guru of managing fear. So what do you say to those people to break that mindset?
The first thing might be shortening the sentence where they go, do you think it'll happen to you? No. Do you think it'll happen? And it's like, yeah, for sure. It happens over there and there and there. Well, what would it cost you if it happened to you or your family and you weren't prepared? What might it cost you? Well, everyone's lives. Okay, let's erase that from the list. What else could it cost you? Peace of mind. Forever PTSD. You make a list and you go, listen, and here's, I think one of the biggest fears also is, I think people think their life has to change to do the training.
So you're almost adapting yourself out of that completely turn, flinch, and now engaging that almost in an initial offensive.
Yeah, it goes in our languaging. The nomenclature is primal, protective, tactical.
Okay.
So, if you truly surprise me and I do this, there's a good chance, because we've figured out ways to speed up your flinch through proper scenario training.
Yeah.
There's a good chance that it's going to hit the forearm, like the knife, like the windshield. Yeah. That's how reliable it is, right? Yeah. But then instead of us turning where you get your next shot off, the hands start to come out. And if I put pressure on you, even if you hit me, it's taking some of the ability for you to torque, to turn it over.
Yeah.
So if I say, are you lefty or righty?
I'm righty.
Okay. So pretend you get lock and load a baseball bat. So if I'm here like this and now start to swing it at my head, and I do that, I'm going to get hit.
Yeah.
But if now I'm here like this. I go, don't hit me, man, but I want you to like load it. So I need that connect. As you load it, that triggers the flinch.
Yeah.
And now as you start to swing it, even if it hits me here,
I can't. Yeah.
like maybe it splits, my face open, but it's not breaking my skull and knocking me down.
Yeah.
Because I got a piece of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
some of that energy.
And if we were standing, I'd be charging in there, and we do that.
Yeah.
We do that like for our law enforcement, or guy's got a knife, guy's got a crowbar, guy picks up a chair, guy,
Yeah.
So we do drills like that where there's, first of all, there's an energetic pre-contact cue that nobody teaches. Mm-hmm. But if you ask, this is a neat thing, every victim of violence who lived to tell the tale that I've interviewed and also read about has said I always had a bad feeling before the attack. Mm-hmm. And you always know as a cop, you always knew when someone was going to fight or run.
Yep. Yeah.
But they
felt their energy.
And so, people say it and then they go, get me in a headlock. Let me show you how to get out of a headlock.
Yeah.
And they leave all of this like pre-contact conversation, intuition. Do you know who Bob Willis is?
Yes.
So Bob Willis saw me teaching in 1993 at an ASLET conference. ASLET doesn't even exist. That's how long I've been in this game.
Yeah.
ASLET, American Society of Law Enforcement Trainers. He saw me teaching, 1993, he comes up to me, he says, you teach the 3 seconds before the fight everyone else teaches. That's the collision.
Yes.
How do I manage my fear, my psychological fear? How do I protect my head? How do I push away danger, threat, discriminate, and then decide, am I running or am I charging?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's super fascinating, but I'm horrible at this. Tony, what would you tell fathers who are hesitant? I still haven't answered the question. Do it. It's and I do have some families that call us up and we do amazing stuff, or get to our 1-day Bureau and Bodyguard course.
Yeah.
And almost we call these tactical snacks. Mm-hmm. Like find a way to just do a little bit and go, oh, that wasn't so bad.
Okay.
Because the idea, like if I say to somebody, well, you got to get a black belt in jiu-jitsu and a black belt in taekwondo, and then a box, you go, hey man, I'm like 50 years old, I got 3 kids, started my family, I'm trying to lose 10 pounds, like I don't. And here's the thing, and you mentioned this earlier, and you're right on. People are afraid of it. And to get somebody to do something they don't want to have happen is a huge self-awareness piece, and then a moral, ethical obligation. I love language, and I love plays on words where I go, hey, it's your responsibility to be able to protect yourself and your family. You're the protector, you're the provider.
Yeah.
And I like to spell responsibility with a hyphen. Response hyphen ability. What's your ability to respond? So
I love that.
Yeah. So it's a neat thing, but it's less of an investment than you would imagine. But one of the things that we ask people when we're kind of interviewing and talking to people about this is this idea that, just that question was, what would it cost me if I didn't do this training?
There you go.
It could cost me everything.
Yep.
And so, and I like it. So I figured out how to teach, and self-defense and martial arts are very, very different.
Yes.
I figured out how to teach self-defense with the same efficiency as like a medical course. If you took a 1-day stop the bleed, CPR, 4, 5, 6 hours, and you've got life-saving skills, but the skills that you mostly developed are to save somebody else's life.
Yeah.
Although you can put on a tourniquet on yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So our course is like the life-saving skills that you need to protect yourself.
Save your own life.
If I said to you, hey, the whole family's going to do a first aid course, everyone will go, that's cool. Okay, the family's going to do a self-defense course. Oh, Dad, do we have to? I don't want to. Because you don't want to visualize the train coming at you. Yeah. And you're like, I don't know, deer in the headlights. Yeah. So it's a fear thing. We do it in a much more fun way. Yeah. My whole team is like, we're down to earth. We're cool. We make people laugh. But we're showing them. We're not teaching them martial arts. We're teaching them, I call it the human weapon system. Yeah. We're teaching them, this is what happens, this is the fear spike, here's how you separate the psychology of fear from the biology and physiology of fear. Don't worry about that. Here are some primal gross motor movements. Everyone can do them right away. Yeah. You can learn it quick. If you want more, there's more options. Yeah. And we tell people on a regular basis, you did this course and someone will go, yeah, but I'm really nervous about the ground. And I go, find a good jiu-jitsu school.
Yep.
Someone says to me after the course, this was great, I learned so much, but I don't feel like I got any power. Okay, I want you to go to this Thai boxing school or boxing school, learn how to move.
Yeah.
So, but the baseline is understanding that, like, managing sudden violence requires more cerebral, emotional, psychological skills than technical skills, and that's the big disconnect with the martial art industry and our messaging.
Yeah.
You know, there's it's a challenge. That's my biggest business challenge.
And I think people have a different idea of what they might actually feel they would do in that event. We all have the idea of, oh, if this happened to me. Because I hear people say it. They see something happen on the news,
right.
or they see some video on TikTok, and it's the surveillance footage of some incident,
right.
and they say, oh, if that was me, I would have just done this. Or,
yeah.
I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Really? I'm sure that guy, if he was watching it
right.
2 days ago,
yeah.
he would have said,
we have that same conversation watching body cam and dashboard video in class, where we show a cop, getting murdered by some guys,
Yep.
and we go, guys, what do you think? Why didn't you call for backup? Why didn't you do this? How come we didn't do that? I didn't do that. So right now, if we did a seance and made him watch the video of his murder without him knowing it was him, wouldn't he say the same things as you?
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the crazy. So our company, we have the No Fear, KNOW Fear. Then we have the SPEAR system, understand how to weaponize the startle response. You need to clear the fear, because they're happening together, right?
Yep.
They're happening together. That's the magic of it, is that psychological fear triggers the startle response.
Yeah. Yeah.
You ever watch a fight or have a bad dream and wake up like a big flinch, right?
Yeah.
Well, so if you're watching a fight and you're doing this, and then you find yourself like flinching or turning, it's because you got so into flow state zone that when that guy came at your friend who was fighting, it always happens if you know somebody, and you're like, I'll be sitting there, I'll be like doing that.
Yeah.
It's because you're so in the zone, like that was coming at you.
Yeah.
That's black box shit where you got to go, fuck, I never thought about that, right? But then what happens when you did this? If there was danger close, imminent became immediate.
Yeah.
The fastest thing you could do would be the thing you don't have to think to do.
Yes, that's right.
And the hands would come up. Can you turn that into something explosive? I mean, I've had guys, military, SWAT, law enforcement. We get feedback like every week, every month, or whatever. Just insane, the power of this. That's what I said earlier. It's like the split jerk of self-defense, because it's a quarter extremity movement. It's the strongest thing you could do. It's stronger than a sidekick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if I said to you, I'll do that, or sidekick you, which would you want? You go do this. This one will put you through a wall. Yeah. And I mean, the sidekick can too if somebody's really good. But if you think about it in the context of managing violence, if this is as powerful, and I could demo insanely how powerful it is, you need 4.5 feet to step in and skip and sidekick, plus the flexibility and the mobility. And if sidekicks were so effective, I think when's the last time you saw a really good sidekick in a UFC fight or a kickboxing fight? Yeah. You almost never see it. There's one or two unicorns that can make it happen. Yeah. Most people can't, because it's not a high percentage kick. It's not, because it's not powerful. Yeah. So a lot of times, we're getting good at the wrong thing. Yeah. If you ask yourself, what is the skill I need to survive this next serious encounter? Yeah. Yeah. Where can people get, whether, I don't care if it's like you said, the 50-year-old guy at home with the wife and a couple of kids, and the dad bought a little bit, and not a tactical ninja, but is listening to or watching this and says, all right, I need to know more about this. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you and maybe get some information about how they can get this training for their families? Yeah, so our main HQ page is my last name, Blauer, Blauer, trainingsystems.com. So it's blauertrainingsystems.com. and that'll show you all the verticals. So there's some people who hire me to work with their company or talk to their family. There's a Coach Blauer page. People who want to know more about fear, there's the no fear.
Yeah.
We also have an equipment line, which you're going to be carrying, right? The hide your suit for scenario training.
Yep.
And I'm on all social medias, hit me up. And if you get an answer from me, it's from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still, I don't outsource my social media. So if you send me a message on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever, but go to our main site, or email us, ask@blauertactical.com, and go, hey, I got a question. I need more about that, because we've got some amazing online products where people can go, you know what? I don't want to spend like 10, 15, 20 grand and do this right now.
Yeah.
Let me taste this. So we've got a small ebook called Making Friends with Fear. That's just like wonderful, and then we've got our No Fear program. That's 97 minutes online. It's like the template for our base. If you're doing a live course with me, this was the original template. And then we got an actual program called the Human Weapon System, which is 10 classes, 80-page manual, and then a month access to. I got a live program called our Tactical Garage Gym, and so I teach 4 times a week on Zoom live out of my garage, which has 0 cars in it, but and so we teach people. It's an amazing thing. We teach people how to train solo at home.
Okay.
And that might seem ridiculous, like you can't learn self-defense on Zoom, and you absolutely can.
Yeah.
And mostly because our stuff is so cerebral and about the science and the movement that and we've had lots of events where people said, holy shit, this happened and this worked, I did this. So.
And I also know, for the women watching, I know there's a lot of women I spoke to who have done some of this online remote training, and it's nice for them. They're not surrounded by 25 dudes in some at some remote location who all think they're MMA fighters and Rambo. And they feel very comfortable. They could do this in their garage while watching the tutorials.
Or a room, and we got people literally all over the world, logging in if they're on a road trip from their hotel, like us, or it's their office or whatever. Cops, firefighters, nurses, martial artists. It's crazy. To your point about the women, most good Samaritans don't want to get in a fight. They don't want to. So we focus a lot on situational awareness, fear management. Another thing that we do that's really cool is a couple times a month we'll pick a video that's going viral, active shooter, a kidnapping, a carjacking, and we break it down.
That's awesome.
So we're there going, look, and then we put it through the spear system filter and a scenario filter, because if I can get you to think faster, I can get you to move sooner. And if violence loves speed, the only way you combat with sudden violence is to improve your mind speed.
Yeah.
Not watch how fast I can kick. Well, look how fast I can draw.
Yeah.
Like if you don't know, if you're faster on the range with me with a timer, and I go, what time is it, dude? And I. Right?
Yeah.
right? And then I've already indexed my weapon. I go, you got the timer, I distract you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how fast you draw.
No.
Because I got the drop on you. And that could have been a sucker punch, that could have been a knife, that could have been anything. So it's just this idea that if I can get you to think or ask a question, I can change your reaction. So women and just good Samaritans who aren't, you and I love the idea of being able to manage violence.
Yeah.
That's why we keep training.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with it. And I said this in the beginning, I said I was afraid of every sport. And I think this is an important thing, because I'm 63 and I'm worried about the world. I'm worried about what's going on. I'm worried about corruption. I'm worried about my family. I'm worried about my business. I'm worried about, so here I am, still 7-year-old Tony, afraid of the outcome. How's this going to turn out?
Yeah.
And so I share that because the system that has made me effective and successful is because I figured out how to manage fear, how to do things with fear.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of things in life, bro, that you got to do while you're afraid.
Oh, 100%.
Like fighting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Fighting for your business, fighting for your family. You can't not have that fear there. So this idea of that's where the idea for no fear came from, KNOW. Yeah. And I had every no fear. You remember the old no fear shirts?
Oh, yeah.
Like great brand, great. But I would wear them and make jokes on stage. I was like this comedian, self-defense guy. I go, this shirt must be defective because I'm scared shitless up here public speaking, even though it says no fear. I was hoping, everyone would laugh. And then one day it was like, it's not no fear, it's no fear. I get to no fear. I go, yeah, this is, okay, what am I going to do? Customata, who's Mike Tyson's original coach, has a wonderful metaphor. He said, fear is like a fire, and it can warm your house or cook your food if you control it.
Yeah.
If it's out of control, it can kill you. It can burn your house down.
Yeah.
And his whole metaphor is, how do you control fear? So there's a lot of interesting,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome stuff. I can't wait, because these same fears and concerns that people are coming to 221 Tactical for the equipment side, now they're going to be able to also now get some of the training. So I'm really pumped about that. But like you mentioned, we're also going to have some of your training gear. So some of the police agencies out there that are looking, and some of the private sector agencies that are looking to even start even a little bit of this training, you could also get some of the equipment that Tony offers on his website. You're going to have all of that available on 221btactical.com. Tactical Ambitions, which is not just the name of this podcast, but also the mindset we want people to have. And no matter what you're doing in your world, it's a tactical thing. You have to have a tactical game plan. So if you're just a regular person, you want to have a game plan on how to protect yourself in a home invasion or carjacking or whatever, you have to have some sort of tactical game plan. And then when an event occurs, this is your tactical game plan, your strategy. So, man, I really appreciate it. Thank you for being here. I know we have 9 other rabbit holes we can go on. I didn't even get to why some of this stuff is happening in our country today and our society, and what's this real higher level meaning of all this stuff, not prosecuting criminals and all this garbage going on.
It's crazy. But listen, you can ignore that, but the reality is, a lot of that shit happened. I live in California, and that there were like midday armed robberies happening at places I walk by, and some of the places I've even eaten.
Yeah.
And I wrote a long article about this, and this is my whole thing, is I hate that part of the industry that goes, this is what I do, that's why I carry, play stupid games, wins. I do this thing. We have a concealed carry combatives course too, and because everyone says I just do this, and I'm going to end with a little visual with us. Let's say you're carrying right now, and we have a road rage situation, and you're armed, and I get out of my car, and you get out of your car, and you're in a negotiator stance, so get your hands like this. And you're going, hey, sir, get back in your car. I cut you off by accident. I go, you fucking piece of shit, I'm going to do. And you're going, holy shit, this guy, let's say I'm big, so you're thinking, keep your hands up. And you're going, and I'm going, you motherfucker, and you're patting the air, going, it's okay, it's okay. Relax. And you got a gun, and you don't want to fight, you're trying to calm the guy down, and then all of a sudden he goes, and he comes at you, and your hands flinch, right? So do that, okay? And here's what I do. So now you realize, and this guy's going, I'm gonna fucking kill you, and he's pulled out a knife, and you're gonna go for your gun, but not yet. Here's what I want you to do. You're in this position, so everyone at home, you're in this position. I want you to turn your palms towards you. Do it now. I want you to look at your palms. Do you see a gun there?
No.
No. Right? And this is like a demo I do in every concealed carry class. And you can relax now.
Yeah.
Where everyone goes, I would just shoot him. I go, if it's a extreme close quarter, sudden attack directed at you, your hands aren't anywhere near your gun when the attack kicks off.
Yeah.
If I whip something at you, at a non-conscious level, you're doing this. So I have people go, I would just shot him. Well, guess what? You got to go from here. I don't have a gun. I got to get my gun. And if the guy's on top of you, like the cop who got stabbed twice in the back of the head, once in the temporal, and that happened so fast on the guy, he didn't even know the guy had a knife, and then was able to deploy the spear that knocked him back. He charged him because of neural patterns. I'm going to go knee ride him, grab his hand. He did that, grab on his knee on belly, grabbed his wrist, was about to turn him over, gets hit here, sees blood shoot, looks down, then he sees the knife, gets up off of him, holy shit, and shoots him. 2 seconds. So that's the biological airbag that I want to install in everybody, and that's my goal. I don't care if you're doing jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, sambo, you got no training, you're in security, you're in law enforcement, and if you think this stuff is bullshit, do some research. If you have a legit government email address, email us. We'll send you the research files.
Yeah.
And then you'll see. I mean, man, we've been around. You can't stay in this industry for. I remember Black Belt Magazine just posted a quote of mine online, and people see me like I look different than when I was like 24, and
we all do.
Gray hair, crow's feet, and these two guys are going, "Who's this old guy? Never heard of him." Like, and they're like, was he in the UFC? Like, was and it was just so funny. But you can't stay in the tactical community for 40 years
teaching bullshit.
Right.
It's just not possible.
You're going to get discovered.
No.
And beaten up and booted out. So,
yeah.
So.
This is the area with some of the toughest critics, even law enforcement, and I would say that I know that very, very intimately now.
Right.
Not only coming from the law enforcement background, but now being a CEO in the tactical space.
Right.
That's how I know. And when I go around the world, literally, because I travel around the world, and I say the name Tony Blauer, everyone says the same thing. Legit. So to me, that's a credit to you. So thank you for what you've done.
Thank you.
And next time we're going to go down a couple of other rabbit holes. But
try and get canceled.
Yeah, and we will. Thanks so much. Thanks everyone for watching and listening. We'll see you next time.